Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. You are watching with Wombat once again, and today we're going to be watching the premiere episode of the new HBO show, House of the Dragon. This is a show that kind of came in and out and back into the public consciousness, I think, with the unfortunate backlash against how Game of Thrones ended. I'd say a lot of people were turned off and just not at all interested in whatever might come next out of that universe. And so when House of the Dragon was announced, I think that the public reaction was pretty muted. Footage came out, more news came out, and people just didn't seem to have much reaction to it. And again, I think it's because people were more interested in another story being told, like The Long Night, or I don't know, almost any other story except this one. But I guess it makes a little bit of sense since there's written already and published source material for this available. And then shortly before Comic-Con, the trailer rolled out. All of a sudden, people were talking about it again. I know some of my coworkers who really enjoyed Game of Thrones are very, very excited for the premiere of this show. One of them was just asking me with a super, super excited voice, like, James, are you going to watch the Game of Thrones show this weekend? I can't believe it's this weekend. And I was like, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about it, which is true. Well, no, it's not completely true, because I do want to see it. I am kind of interested in it, maybe because I'm relatively unspoiled by what happened with the parent show, because I haven't seen it, how it ended, I mean. And so that's what we are here to do. I have some very, very, very high hopes for this show. I think I'm hopeful. I'm praying that the people who run this show have learned from the mistakes of D&D and will not repeat them. Hopefully HBO won't let that sort of thing happen again. So yeah, context for the show. This takes place a couple hundred years before Game of Thrones, when House Targaryen either has come to power or is in power or is about to come to power. I'm not exactly sure where we are in the history, but right around that time. I heard a rumor once it's about the which could be cool, because I thought that was a cool idea. And if I recall correctly, there's some sort of part reference or whatever in the 5th book, I think. Anyway, I don't really have anything more to say, so why don't we just go right into it, huh? Here we go. House of the Dragon, Season 1, Episode 1, which doesn't seem to have a name just yet. Maybe it will later, who knows. Here we go. Just seeing that reminds me of other shows that I used to watch in HBO that I loved a lot.
As the first century of the Targaryen dynasty came to a close, the health of the old king, over 1,000 lords made the journey to Harrenhal.
Harrenhal.
Princess
Heirs Targaryen be made Prince of Dragonstone.
Rhaenys, a woman, would not inherit the Iron Throne, thing that could tear down the House of the Dragon was itself.
Nice. 172 years. Okay. Just for those of you who couldn't read that fast, just show us a little bit.
Rewatch.
Almost large enough to settle too.
I believe I'm quite content as a spectator, thank you.
I remember the first time I saw King's Landing in Game of Thrones. Digging the music so far. Hope it doesn't take long for me to catch on to these names.
My lords, the growing alliance among the free cities has taken to styling itself
They call him the crab feeder.
Was the Iron Throne bigger back then?
It's Valyrian steel. Like Dark Sister.
Sister is probably a sword.
When Princess Nymeria arrived in Dawn, who did she take to husband?
A man.
What was his name?
Lord something.
If you answer with Lord something, Septa Marlowe will be
For you on Dragonback. See the great wonders across the narrow sea and eat only cake.
I'm being serious.
I never just about cake.
Cake.
You aren't worried about your position.
Sorry,
I
buddy.
this
I don't
position,
really
it's
like
quite
cake.
comfortable.
Can you say yet what it is?
We've sent inquiries to the Citadel.
I'm certain of it. I've never been more certain of anything.
Well, then I guess it is.
Intrigue.
King's Landing will learn to fear the color gold.
Oh, hey, the gold cloaks. I think somebody was being misleading about the state of crime in the city. Okay.
Cannot be allowed to act with this kind of unchecked impunity.
So were they criminals or not?
Brother, raped, murdered. You mightn't know this unless you left the safety of the Red Keep, but much of King's Landing is seen by the small folk as lawless and terrifying. Our city should be safe for all its people.
I just hope you don't have to maim half of my city to achieve this.
Time will tell.
Time will tell.
Understood, Your Grace.
He is trouble. So I'm a little rusty in my Westeros lore. But I thought like the big tourneys were held at Harrenhal, not King's Landing. And this looks like it's King's Landing. And I could also be wrong. And that's the end of that. Have we moved on to the Mortal Kombat portion of the tournament? I've forgotten how grisly this show can be.
Sir Kristen Cole will now tilt against Sir Daemon Targaryen, Prince of the City!
Here's the face-off we didn't know we were waiting for. We had a glimpse of Kristen Cole's face, but not a good one.
They're going to bring the babe out now.
Are they going to show this too?
No, it's all right.
You did not talk it over with her. Oh boy. It's like it's impossible to enjoy the combat when it's intercut with this, because this is the C section, I guess, is just appalling to watch. It reminded me, that battle reminded me a little bit of the first time we met. Who's the guy from Highgarden?
I was hoping to ask for the princess's favor.
I don't remember the name.
Oh, she luck, Sir Kristen.
That was a harsh pairing of scenes.
Dracarys!
It just knows what to do.
Such circumstances, it would not be an aberration for the king to name a successor.
Well, who else would have a claim?
They know, but no one will
King's
say it.
firstborn child.
Rhaenyra. If we cannot agree on an heir, then how can we
My
expect
wife
a
and
realm?
son are dead! I will not sit here and suffer crows that come to feast on their corpses!
Everybody's got a point.
Send a raven to Old Town, straight away.
you might go to him, offer him comfort.
In his chambers.
Right. Was I wrong, or are they both just pretending?
One of your mother's dresses.
Yeah, right? So he's suggesting what I think he's suggesting. This episode is packed.
What does it tell us?
I thought I might come and look in on you, Your Grace.
I was just about to point out that the whole frame looked out of focus, but it's just my internet connection losing its HD.
I'm very sorry, Your Grace.
So, the episode's doing a pretty good job of juxtaposing tension with horror, grief with debauchery. So I find is it editing? It's not the directing necessarily. The storytelling, I find it fascinating.
Did you say it? I don't know what you mean.
No matter what his answer is here,
or I will have my Kingsguard cut out your tongue.
I won't believe he actually said it unless we actually see him say it.
For a day.
We must all mourn in our own way, Your Grace.
I have only ever defended you. Yet everything I've given you, you've thrown back in my face.
You've only ever tried to send me away to the Vale, to the City Watch, anywhere but by your side. And the blood of the dragon runs thick.
Then why do you cut me so deep?
I've only ever spoken the truth. I see Otto Hightower for what he is. You're weak, Viserys. And that council of leeches knows it. They all prey on you for their own ends.
You look at the dragons, what do you see?
It's important.
What do you see?
As I see us.
Tell me. Our men should never have trifled with Rhaegar's doom. Do the same to us. Targaryen must understand this to be king or queen.
Daemon is your heir.
Was not made to wear the crown. But I believe that you are. I need to tell you. Might be difficult for you to understand. But you must hear it. And just as Daenerys foresaw the end of Valyria, Aegon foresaw the end of the world of men. Just to begin with a terrible winter, gusting out of the distant north. He's dreamed a song of ice and fire. Viserys Targaryen, first of his name, King of the Andals and the Rhoynar and the First Men, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms and Protector of the Realm, do hereby name Rhaenyra Targaryen, Princess of Dragonstone and heir to the Iron Throne.
Well, that was the pilot episode to the House of the Dragon. It was a little long. It's over an hour. But overall, it kept pushing me forward. Some parts were your usual bread and butter. Game of Thrones, lots of nudity, sex. Not a lot. An abundance of blood and gore. And this is a good start. I am thinking back to when I saw the first episode of Game of Thrones. And from what I recall, it was a little slow, but because I was so familiar with the story, I was okay with that because I knew where it was going. I don't know where this is going. I did not read Fire and Blood. I have not read any of the supplemental material on A Song of Ice and Fire. I just didn't care that much about it to do the research like I did on Lord of the Rings stuff. So yeah, I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know how Rhaenyra's story goes. I have a vague idea about Daemon, but I don't want to say something that, I don't mind being wrong, but I don't want to say something that's like, there'd be a huge spoiler. Maybe in the next episode I'll talk about that. But, we have a strong sense of some of the characters here. Some are still hard to read. The king came off a little bit like Robert for a while, minus the drunkenness and the whoring. Maybe a little bit of an aw shucks kind of a king up until, the death of his son, the butchering of his wife. Then he was tragic, but just for like a minute. because we didn't really spend time with him after that happened. Only that one scene that I think a lot happened in that scene that we didn't see. But he turned a corner by finally naming Rhaenyra his heir. Well, Rhaenyra herself, I would say, she's a little harder to read, but I'm going to call it and say she seems like she's the protagonist of this story. Does she have a lot to prove? I don't know. I'd say she felt like she did. She felt like she couldn't before because her father was so fixated on having a son for an heir. Now that she's the heir, I'm curious to see how that will affect her going forward. She seems like the type that she knows she has a lot to prove, and she's going to strive to do that. No reaction to how she thinks Daemon will receive that. I'm not sure how it's going to affect her relationship with Alicent. We did not meet the Olivia Cook character, but all the marketing leading into the show made it seem like Rhaenyra and whatever character Olivia Cook plays will be close also. Daemon. I said I did not like Matt Smith, and wow, I was surprised. But I'm going to say it's because of the name. Daemon's going to Daemon, and if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Something about that name just makes you an I don't care bad boy. And Matt Smith played that really well. He was really good. I like him. I like Daemon a lot more than I like Viserys. Viserys. Oh man. I'm glad that he didn't turn out to be in this episode just like a mustache twirling bad guy like Viserys from Game of Thrones, who was just bad and felt entitled because. We got a hint that Daemon has his fears and he tries to hide them. He has a sense of being unwanted, a sense of being inadequate, but he covers that up with his attitude. He's not an all bad guy. At least he hasn't been presented that way in this episode. Now that could change. He could turn out to be a real bad guy. Or he could turn out to be, a flawed good guy. A very flawed good guy. He could turn out to, because let's admit it, the whole scene with him in the City Watch was a lot. And I still don't know if those were legitimate bad guys that they were rounding up, or they were just rounding up people in general. Because it seemed like that guy was just pointing at people randomly and calling them like a rapist or a thief or a murderer. But the show seemed to treat it like they were actual bad guys. So I don't know about that. I'm not saying it was okay what he did, but it's kind of mitigated by the fact that he may not have pulled innocent bystanders into that bloodbath. I'm eating my own words, but I think Daemon is the most fascinating, watchable character on the show right now. Everybody else is very undefined. Even Otto Hightower, who gives off strong Ned Stark without the sad face vibes. Right now, he just comes off as a good guy. That might be all that he is, or he might have some hidden motivations too. I don't know. Everybody else, though, Corlys, I don't even know the names of the other people because they were so non-entities. Everybody else was a non-entity in this show. So that's fine. This show has so much heavy lifting to do, just to climb out of the hole that Game of Thrones left the franchise in. But I think it did a really great job. It's at least out of the hole. I don't know how high off the ground it's gotten, but it's out of the hole now. And I like it. I'm enjoying it. I'm in awe of the job done here. And I'm relieved, too, because I really wanted to keep doing this show, and I'm relieved that I'm going to probably enjoy watching it, too. Well, thank you again, everybody, for tuning into my channel. I'll have more to say as we get deeper into the show. Please hit like and subscribe. Please leave a comment below, your theories. Please don't spoil anything from Fire and Blood, okay? Because I'll read it, because I can't help but read it. But that's on me. I don't want anybody else who might be watching this to be inadvertently spoiled. So if you're going to talk about the lore, talk about what was covered in the original show or the original books, but nothing else. Please don't talk about Fire and Blood. Please don't talk about anything like that. Everything else is fair game. So please hit like and subscribe. Did I say that? I mean, I said it. I'll say it again. Hit like and subscribe, please. Thank you for coming, and I'll see y'all later.